Hello, so hopefully I'm live and hopefully you can hear me. I think it's got the volume indicator on this stream, which is nice because that's one of the features that just randomly seems to pop up and pop off of the YouTube live streams at the moment. So I'll stream probably for an hour or so. I've got the Swiss M18 helmet on today, as the stream title says. So this was Switzerland's helmet, sort of 1918 as the name would imply, I think, till probably like the 50s or the 60s. They kept it in service quite a while, until they came up with like a more conventional sort of M1 style steel pot helmet. So there you go. That's the thing. Oh, if you're on laser, I'll get that mask out to show you. Hang on. I'll put this on in a bit, but I'll have to take the helmet off to put it on. So yeah, obviously you can tell they heavily based it on the German style helm, but it's got a way bigger sort of front ridge on it. Yeah, if you want to, Parker, and you think to make use of them, definitely. But make sure you get ones that are obviously be suitable for what you need them for. Well, you can get loads of shims on eBay, at least in the UK. I don't know where you are, but in the UK you can get shims often for like £15 to £20. And then if you get the complete set with like the carry bag, a coffee can style filter and all that, they're normally more expensive. But the masks themselves you can normally get quite cheap over here. Yeah, this one's the one. I bought another one with a liner because I couldn't find any liners separate. So as you can see, it's got the chin strap on. I'm actually being able to comfortably wear it. Because I bought one of these years ago quite cheaply, but it was missing the liner. And loads of them listed on eBay when you find them are missing the liners. So, I couldn't find any separate liners for them. So this one actually has the liner in it. So it ended up being like nearly £50. But it's quite a cool helmet. Because Stahlhelm-like helmets are normally very expensive anyway. And this is, I think, quite a cool looking helmet. Reminds me a bit of Darth Vader. Right, I was going to say that today because I'm going to film a video when this stream ends, so you lot can have a vote that are on here. Do you want me to do a video? Because I'll be doing a video on both of these anyway, but do you want me to do a video on the 40mm Scott mask, this one, or do you want one on the helmet next? Because what I'll do is I'll either do the video on this first, then the video on the helmet, or the other way around. So they'll only be a couple of days apart when the videos go live, but I was going to ask people on the stream. Yeah, it's very oversized, isn't it? But I suppose it was designed for air bursting shrapnel to, stop it hitting you there in the head. So 1 vote for mask, 2 votes for helmets, 2 votes for mask. It might end up being quite close if everybody does it. Also, don't forget to like the stream because it currently says there's 13, 14 people on, 2 likes. You vote for the mask, another vote for the helmet, another vote for the mask. So I think it's 4 for the mask now, 3 for the helmet. If you vote for Pedro, that's Napoleon Dynamite, isn't it? Which I've never seen, but that's not an option, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's quite a cool helmet. If you've ever seen Hobo with a Shotgun, it's the helmet Rip wears from the Plague, I'm pretty certain. Well, I'm going to wear both on the stream in a bit, but in terms of the thing today, I'll tell you what, I'll swap this filter out for the Scott one in the box, because that way, if I can find where the Scott one is in my drawer, which I organised recently, there it is. It will be less bulky in the box, which is good. So let's put this other P3 filter in my drawer. Hopefully it closes all right, because the problem is with the filter drawer, even though I tidied it, a lot of the filters have to be put in there just right for the drawer to close up, because how bulky some of the filters are. That's closed well enough. So yeah, Slingshot, if you can get helmets for a good price, some of them are quite cool to own as collectibles. I've been getting more into helmets again, because the issue I'm finding at the moment is I've got loads of masks you can easily get in the UK, but at the moment there's a lot of helmets turning up quite cheaply on UK eBay, and some helmets, are really cool looking. I don't know, in all honesty. Switzerland just issued it to all their troops at the time, so it was, I think, just designed for everybody in Swiss military service. The idea being it just gives very good head coverage. Out of interest, these are much better apparently than German World War I Stahlhelms because they are made from actual manganese steel, or like have a high manganese steel content like the British helmets did. I was looking into this. German World War I helmets, the actual like Stahlhelms, not the obviously Pickelhaubs, which were useless, but the actual steel helmets, the Stahlhelms in World War I, apparently the actual good quality steel content was pretty low in them. So while they gave good head coverage, they weren't all that good at stopping shrapnel. Yeah, we don't get Bud K in the UK Slingshot, but if they've got helmets on there for good prices, go and get them. I've done a video on how to clean the GP5 Logan. It's pretty easy. Take the filter off, put it in the sink with some soapy water, use a cloth to gently wipe it out. Soviet surplus helmets are fine, but depends where you are again, because sometimes the supply seems to be totally different. I mean, obviously, if you're buying a helmet now today and you want one that's really good, you should go for a Kevlar helmet or whatever. But in terms of steel pot helmets, not this model, but lots of steel pot helmets you can often get, for like the £10 to £20 or dollars range, I imagine. And, for that price, that is very good for a helmet. Ah, cool. Yeah, I definitely like it. Let me put it on. I think you probably watched a bit of the stream, didn't you, afterwards, where I'd done that one. Let me get this off, and I will show you this mask. So the only irritating thing of this, I had to spend ages trying to get these straps the right way around. Because the issue I have with this, that I've had with loads of half-face masks, is for whatever reason, the person who puts the straps on in the factory gets them all bundled up. But the mask itself is very good. Which one's a BCD? The name sounds familiar, but I can't think what it is off the top of my head, so if you remind me. So you've got one of those nice kind of skull cap things there. Then you obviously get this bit. Pull that tight. Put those bits through each other. It's like a weird looking key design, which I actually prefer to 3M ones, because it's once you get them on, it's actually a more secure fit for the mask, but only once you get them on. Because obviously doing it behind your head isn't the most practical thing. There we go. So that's this mask on. As you can see, it's got like a nose bit there that's actually quite good, because it properly fits your nose. It's not just a generic triangle. And you can pressure check this two ways. If you have a filter where you can actually put your entire hand over the opening, you can pressure check it there. And it's got a button there. If you press that in, exhale, you can feel the air go around the side of the mask. You can see there where they would have had the bits on it if it was the other version of the mask, because they use the same face piece. One with the exhale valve there, and the two filters for the Scott own brand filters. And this one, the 40mm one, that's just filled in. That's the exhale valve, which I think you can turn around if you want to. Yeah, you can. You might as well just have it facing down like that. But, oh yeah, you can take that off. So there you go. There's the exhale valve there, look. I'll put that back on, because obviously it's nice having a cover on that. Although, I bet it's one of those ones that I can't get back on very practically. Now I've taken it off. But yeah, that's the little sort of check button that pushes over the valve to show you that, it's pressurizing. Oh, and I think one of my straps has just loosened slightly without me touching it. But oh well, let's get this on and then I'll retighten it. Again, like all half-face masks, there are drawbacks to it. One, that it doesn't protect your eyes, and the other being, the straps, although they're comfortable on this one, again, they're still half-face mask straps, so they're not as secure as having like a 6-point good rubber strap respirator or whatever, but they're good enough. Again, this isn't intended for military use. It's sort of a spray painting, light, weight industrial mask. Now, I won't be able to get the head strap back on with this on, but I can hopefully, maybe, see if I can get that comfortably into the helmet so it doesn't bother me when I put the mask back on. Let me just see if I can play about with this bit in a moment. I probably won't be able to get this comfortable now. Yeah, that's not comfortable. Because of how the strap works in this helmet. That's probably the best I can do at the moment. But there you go. It looks quite cool. It's quite Hellgast looking, isn't it? Yeah, it's the Scott one that Laser asked if I could get, and it is good. Because, I mean, the nice thing with this is you're never going to run out of filters for it. And when I tried the full-size 40mm filters on this, it actually doesn't put too much weight on the front because the straps are pretty good. So it pulls it down a bit, but it doesn't break the seal. What city are you in, Epic Fail? You've probably seen the actual FMJ05, I'd assume, Adam, and the MF11. Is it the export version? I've got the export version. It just doesn't have the drinking tube on. £25 to £30 is the RRP for this. Mine was £25 with like a 3-day postage on it. There were some that were £30 next day, so I just went for 25 next. £25 and just waited a couple of extra days. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Do I have the FP203 in my room? Because I don't know if it's actually in here, or it might be one of the satchels. What I'll do, although it's not safe to really breathe through it, I'll see what happens if I put this on, just for weight purposes. So again, I won't breathe through it for very long, because it's an old style one, but EO14. But for a very short test, it won't be a problem. Yeah, I'll just breathe lightly. I just want to see what happens weight-wise. No, that's not going to work. So yeah, it can take the weight of a regular 40mm CBRN, like stock Pro filter. But yeah, this will actually, unless you have the straps really tight, the weight's just going to do that on your face with it. So not that practical for that. With a hose, it would work. Yeah, you can put 40mm hoses on this, but at that stage, you might as well just go for a full face mask if you're going to be doing all that sort of stuff. All right, cool. Didn't know that used to be called Type 87. But yeah, obviously with this size filter, it's a lot more practical. Do they actually have the real S10, or is it the FMJ08 they've got? Because I don't actually know. Or did they get loads of S10s when like Britain still used to own Hong Kong? I don't actually know. Hype might know. But... all right, I'll take this off again for now. It's comfortable enough, but obviously you can hear me better with this off. That's what the inside looks like, if you're wondering. Yeah, pretty practical design. As I said, it's got that weird key system for the straps where you put both of these through each other and twist one, which is pretty practical. So I like it more than the 3M one. It's a bit harder to put on, but once you've got it on, at least, you don't really have an issue with these straps coming loose, and you don't have to worry about the clip breaking. Because the problem is with the 3M ones is that the actual little plastic clip sometimes seems a bit fragile. Okay, so you've just got a massive mix of masks, and yeah, so real S10s, newer Avon and Airbus T4s. That's really interesting. I've not looked for enough pictures to actually sort of do, let's spot them a gas mask they're wearing, but it's actually quite interesting, isn't it, when you have like a real mix mash of different equipment being worn by soldiers or police or whatever. Yeah, this is quite a cool helmet. The only thing is the skirt on this definitely feels a bit thinner than the actual main bit of the helmet, but I suppose that's just, again, just extra shrapnel protection. But yeah, I always like some of the Stahlhelm variants. I might do a separate video now then on the Stahlhelms I've got, because I've got these. I've got a German World War II Stahlhelm without the liner, and I've obviously got like the East German M56, plus I've got a couple of like Warsaw Pact Stahlhelm base copies. The PDF's on the shelf, like properly sealed up, so I won't get it down. But oh, the PDFs there, the children's ones. So yes, definitely can't get them down on display. But I've done videos on the PDF. But the PDFs are basically just the Soviet children's masks. If you look on that poster, the one with the hose coming out at the side of it, that's the smallest model because they couldn't fit the hose above the exhale valve. But most of them have that kind of design, like that you can see on the one up there. And then obviously like the GP4 is actually a more similar face piece to the PDF, but it's obviously a full adult size mask. Will helmet tilt? Slightly, but not awfully. I've seen one, I think it's on Sky News, where they have the Scott Pro mask version of the M98, which is quite cool, because it's like, oh, it's the mask I have, and I noticed their voice diaphragm wasn't really buzzy, but mine's all right now. What about the GP7? I've got one up there. The GP7 is kind of its own design. It was basically where they had the military PMK, and then the GP7 is the cheaper sort of version of it with the round lenses. There's a GP7V, isn't there, which has the same drinking tube system as the PMK. But I've never been a fan of like PMK ones and GP7s just because I find the face piece really not comfortable and the straps are horrible on it. The thing is with those, and I think that's what people have said they've done with the newer like PMKs anyway, is when you put decent straps on the PMK and improve the face piece slightly, they suddenly become good masks. But how those are at the moment, I really don't like them, the original design, just because they overcomplicated something but made it very cheaply, so it ends up just being worse in every way than all the cheap Soviet masks. Right, Shum 1, or the SHM, is the very first version of the Shum masks, like what the GP5 is and the Shum 41. And I think it didn't have Tissot tubes. It was like 40mm connector and the XL valve at the bottom, but it didn't have Tissot tubes. The Shum 41 is the version that then has the Tissot tubes. The GP5, which is the Shum 62, if I remember right, that's the one where they did the cheapened, like much smaller metal bit there. But otherwise, it's basically the same as the Shum 41. They're pretty rare. I've never seen a Shum 1 for sale, like a genuine Shum 1. It's loads of Shum 41s, obviously loads of GP5, Shum 62s, GP5Ms, all those. That's interesting. I did not know that they obviously had to smuggle them in, but yeah. So you've got a mask that could give you eye protection really cheaply, but they still end up spending loads for a 3M mask. I've done that in the video with it, Nola, but I didn't have the original filter. It came with a Draeger filter that was sealed, so I didn't open that up. But the French ARF, the one that's like the Polish MP5, if that's the one you're on about, there's a video coming up. I'll tell you what day that comes out, because I have done the video on it. I've got like the Foreign Legion version, which is that kind of cool yellow tan color. But let's have a look. French ARFA gas mask is coming out on October 23rd, so my birthday. So that's Wednesday in about 2 weeks' time. Which Israeli master you have, FBI agent? The 4A1 or the M15 or one of their newer, like, sort of masks? I'm sure, like Hype was saying, no epic fail, you could probably get a gas mask if you really wanted one, but obviously don't go out and riot and do anything stupid. I assume that's not Liss's face slingshot on there. I don't know if you're trying to compliment him or insult him. Okay, that's very interesting to know, Hype. So it's basically just an issue of, yeah, supply and demand, where in the UK or Western places, like you're saying, there's not enough on the surplus market. Because that's what I heard about some of the French masks, like the, I didn't pay too much for this. I think I paid like £20 for this one. But it's like that with the French, you know, like C38, that you basically never find them for sale in the UK, but apparently in France they're, you know, really, really cheap if you ever wanted to buy them. So yeah, that's the kind of thing with a lot of those. You know, but that's everywhere, because it's like when people say that S10s cost loads in their country, but in the UK you can still often get them for like £20 if you're lucky on eBay. Oh, so the civilian 4A1. Yeah, but yeah, with it's like S10s. Often they're more than that in the UK, but again, if you look around long enough, you will get S10s and S6s and all those for good prices. It's just people outside of the UK think they're really expensive. Well, I don't like discussing politics, Barn, but I've spoken about it with a few people. The problem is I don't know enough about what's going on there. But from what people have said to me that seem to know what they're on about, like Hype, who's in the chat at the moment, is that you've got stuff like some people who are, you know, completely peacefully, democratically protesting or whatever, which is fine. But then you've got people that are just rioting and breaking random shit because they want an excuse to do it. I mean, he did show that video where the guy who got shot and all the media over here was saying it was outrageous. It was like the police were shooting people, and the guy was literally trying to smack a cop with a baton or something, or like a club, and then the cop shot him in self-defense, when he was like swarming over the cop. So again, the problem is the media in the West, because they seem to have quite an anti-Chinese sort of sentiment at the moment. It isn't really being fairly reported on. That's the problem I have with a lot of international news, is you have to be very careful where you read the sources from, because there's generally quite a slant put on it, depending on if we like or dislike the country in question. Like, how Saudi Arabia good, Iran bad, even though I don't really like either of those sort of regimes in those countries. I don't want to keep going into politics, so here we go. That's the issue you kind of start running into, where you have to be very careful at the news sources you look at, where, they can put quite a spin on it, and if you don't really research enough about the thing, they try and demonize one side and make one side look really good, when obviously with general politics it's much more complicated than that. Yeah, I quite like live leak stuff like that, Laser, because then you get a better idea of what's going on from the person's perspective who filmed it. But yeah, what I generally do if I want to look up a news story is I look up a couple of news sites that generally disagree with each other, and then see, can I work out what the truth is from this? Like, I quite like RT just because I can look up stuff where they will report more fairly on some issues and things like the BBC. Whereas RT probably isn't the best source if you're looking at pro-Russian stuff, because they're going to have a very pro-Russian bias. But if you're looking at stuff that's gone on, somewhere like China, RT is going to generally be more fair to the Chinese government than somewhere like the BBC is. But like I said, it's just, you need to be sensible of how you look at news. That's the reason I don't look at news anywhere near as much as I used to, because I found it was very easy to accidentally get swayed into believing certain things due to bad journalism. All right, have I missed any comments? So you were saying about the Shum one. I don't have a Shum one, so I've never done a video on it. But yeah, the Shum series, as far as I'm aware, is Shum 1, Shum 41, Shum 62. I think the GP5 is actually something like Shum 66, isn't it, or something? Then you get the more modern ones like the Shum 2012, and there's probably a hell of a lot more Shums as well, but essentially it just means helmet mask, as far as I'm aware. Because you've got like the SHMS, which is Shums, which is, I think, special helmet mask or something. For me, the Fushida F2, yeah. Yeah, you almost comfort mask. Yeah, out of all the ones I've tried, probably that one, but there's some of the panoramic masks now which are getting very comfortable. Like the Spaziani one I keep in my car, that's really comfortable. That's why I got Mike one, because I thought he'd actually, find that all right to wear when he was doing shed work, and Richard's bought one now as well. Just because they're very good quality, like rubber, and it's a good mold. The Climax one I got recently is also very comfortable. My Scott M98 is very comfortable as well. Yeah, so they start blaming the police, because the problem I had was like when that happened in Ukraine. A few years ago, it might be even more than a few years ago now, when they had all the Euromaiden stuff, whatever it was. I'm probably pronouncing that horribly wrong, but there was actual videos you could find of like police almost being beaten to death by people, of like pickaxe handles, broken like metal poles and stuff like that. The police were not acting outrageously at all. Some of the police were getting Molotovs thrown at them and all that. But the news would never show those clips. They would show the ones of like police then counter-charging some of the protesters that had thrown Molotovs at them, like beating the shit out of them, as you can kind of expect they would. And then, it's saying like, look how evil these cops are. All right, see if you're off, TJT. But yeah, that's like I said, that's the issue you have to be very careful with media sources, is don't just believe everything just because a journalist has said it. Yeah, do your own research on most of these things. And again, with most issues, it's never one side good, one side bad. It's like that on both sides. Yeah, a lot of that stuff didn't end up escalating to a lot later on. Like, they were suddenly saying, why are they shooting at the people? Oh, it's because they're generally a lot of the cops are getting beaten to death, or like had Molotovs thrown on before they opened fire. Yeah, especially when then a lot of those police are ones that get blamed for like the security services or whatever, who aren't the police as well, opening fire. I don't want to go too much into that because it makes the stream a bit bleak, but it gives you an idea, doesn't it, of how, you know, you have to be very careful just taking one side's word for something. I like Tremors. I've never seen the sequels to Tremors, even though I think I have one of the sequels on VHS, but I've got the original Tremors on DVD, and I really enjoy Tremors. Yeah, if it lets you post the link, Nautilus, and they ship to the UK, absolutely, I will get one and buy one and hope it turns up. Yeah, exactly. It's like loads of these things, like you said, perfect terms, vicious cycle. Because if, with loads of these things, if one thing happens that makes one thing worse, then that goes around, doesn't it? And it keeps happening. And it's weird how people don't get that with a lot of these things. It's like when I've had discussions as well, because I'm totally off of opioids now. I'm getting horrible withdrawals because my doctor's put me on them for like 5 months in a row for ulcerative colitis pain. But it's like when you get the people who don't understand why people end up taking more and more opioids who are given opioid painkillers, because the longer you're on them, the more tolerant your body gets to them, and your body increases the pain signals. You then take more opioid painkillers to get the pain under control, and it leads to this vicious cycle of, you know, people who can't get off of them. And thankfully, as I've said, I've been like 9 days completely off codeine now. I'm on nefapam, which is actually a much better painkiller, but it's not an opioid. But I'm getting some horrible withdrawal symptoms. Not as bad as a heroin addict would get, of course, but, you know, like randomly going cold and hot, getting horrible muscle aches, like I've got the flu. So last night I ended up just using some poppy seeds to actually just get a little bit of opioid back into my system so I didn't crash out horribly. But again, yeah, stuff like throwing acid and throwing horrible chemicals at police does not surprise me. Apparently there was like a mass stabbing in Manchester this morning, but I've not really looked at the news properly. Just leave whatever links you want, Nautilus. Just say in a comment what they are. If they turn up in my Howd for like review or spam folder, I'll approve them when I see them. What about the PMG? It was a mask. I have a let me get it. I should be able to wear the PMG with this helmet as well, because it's a PMG. So the PMG 40mm GOST mask with a rubber intake thread. It was designed as a lightweight mask. How successful it was, I don't know, because obviously the PMG2 GP5M came a lot later. But the PMG is quite a lightweight mask, which I think was the purpose of it. I think PMG does translate into something like lightweight respirator in Russian, you know, if you have the full acronym for it. So it's got a voice diaphragm on the front there. I think this one unscrews. This is my size 3 one, the one that actually fits me. Yeah, there's your voice diaphragm. Standard type voice diaphragm with a different cover than most Soviet masks, but it's the same type design. Exhale valve on the bottom there. I think it has a Tissot tube system in this one. Let me check. Definitely has a Tissot tube for at least one of the eyes. Yeah, it's just one for one of the eyes there. So yeah, the Tissot tube comes in there. But it's a pretty simple mask. Yeah, it's tanned because literally any of these Soviet masks, you have them with a bit of sunlight hitting them for a while, they will tan. The GP5 started tanning just from being on that bit there, where the sunlight sometimes hits it at certain times of day. Not really FBI agent, because you'd normally be wearing them with an NBC hood anyway. So it's just the idea that when you're just using it against light chemicals, you can hear. If you had the full gear on anyway, your ears will be covered. Most NATO masks don't cover your ears. So, you know. No, I won't get a VistaVision down today, because last time I took that down on a stream, it was really awkward to get back again, you know, put back on the shelf without knocking loads of stuff over. That's the problem with the display masks, is they're not very practical to take down and put back up. So PMG, it has a strap at the back to secure it, but this is a very tight mask. Oh, words are wise, if you get a PMG, buy them in a bigger size than you're used to with Soviet masks, because these things are tight. Right, so there's the PMG. It's quite buzzy, the PMG, but that's just because Soviet voice diaphragm. If you have a big filter on, it's not as bad. Thing I don't like the PMG, when you've got filters on, it pulls the mask down like that, because it's only rubber there, not the metal bit. But obviously the strap from this helmet is not going to manage to go over the thing properly, so I won't try it. But because it's a helmet mask, helmets seem to fit on it pretty well. Yeah, I think this might be a Cold War era one. I heard the old World War One era ones were actually like a green colour, but the two I've got look like this, but this is the only one with the liner. Apparently this is the later issue liner, because it's the 3-point liner, not like the one that goes all around the outside like the older ones did. Yeah, Soviet masks always look good with helmets. And they're like one of the few sets of masks where they always fit with helmets as well, for the most part, because that's why they literally call them helmet masks, because, as far as I'm aware, because the hood-type masks don't get in the way of helmet straps. Yeah, so do those people then not even know the Chinese Civil War was a thing? And was it Chiang Kai-shek? Because I know obviously that's where Taiwan was its own thing after he lost. But yeah, you had nationalist China and communist China. But yeah, the Japanese did some absolutely horrible war crimes in China during World War II. Like even stuff where the Nazis thought it was extreme, and the Nazis are bastards. So, you know, I can never understand people who sympathise with something like that. Oh, you left the link on the Mark 6, right? I'll check it after the stream, thank you. I haven't checked comments yet this morning, so I just have to go through them in bulk when I finish the stream and reply to people. The thing is, a lot of the American helmets we never see for sale in the UK, but America does have some really good modern helmets, because like their most recent one's the thermoplastic one, and because it's thermoplastic, it means it's potentially better protection than Kevlar. So that's really interesting the way the American helmet's going. But I like the design of the US helmets. Well, because yeah, it was in service from 1918 till somewhere in the Cold War. I assume that not everywhere in Switzerland phased it out until Kevlar helmets, because I know the Swiss, although they had a more recent steel helmet than this one, probably wasn't issued to all the troops. Afraid I don't remember you unless you leave some comments. Right, that's fine. I'll have a look, Nautilus, as said later. If they don't ship to the UK, they don't ship to the UK, but thanks for looking. Yeah, so they were in service for like 58 years then or something. Well, not 58 years, 52 years. Or maybe even longer. But yeah. Yeah, I've got an M50. Again, it uses its own type of filters, which has pros and cons, but it's a good mask. Yeah, so you had the M1 in service then for, yeah, like 46 years. The British Mark III helmet was in service for fucking ages as well. I'm trying to think how long that was in service, but that was a helmet that was, although, again, they had the Mark IV and everything. But the British Mark III was probably in service from the 1940s to about the 80s, because the thing is, like with the Mark IIIs and IVs, and the Mark V, which is like that weird different liner for a Mark IV, it's essentially the same helmet, just they kept changing the liners in them. So it's not really, in my opinion, a different helmet, because if you get the same helmet and you just do modifications to the liner, loads of countries did that on like one generation of helmet or another. Cool, you're from the Italian helmet stream. Yeah, I don't always do streams with the names of helmets, because this one is. It's just because this helmet turned up yesterday and I wanted to do a video on it before I did a video on it. The worst gas mask I can think of is that Chinese pewter mask I've got, where the straps keep pinging off and the weight of a filter stops it connecting to your face properly. Yeah, the M1's a cool design. The thing I like the M1 is it has that inner liner thing, like the plastic inner liner that clips in and out, because apparently that gives you a bit more protection, and it's quite a comfortable way of having a liner system, rather than just, you know, a bit of leather around some prongs in the helmet, and then like a shoelace holding it together. The problem I've complained about before is I find a lot of modern helmets overcomplicate the liner system. It's like any of these old helmets, once there's a liner in it, I find that you can literally put these on, and you can adjust the strap, and then they fit well enough, and they're comfortable enough. The problem I find with a lot of modern helmets is they have these liners in them that look like they should be really comfortable, but they've got so many little adjustable bits I can never get them comfy. They're weird looking, the Chinese Type 65 or M65, but it's not an awful mask, because the cheek filter they made for it was actually pretty decent. Just the weird thing is you had no way of changing it in the field. What, this helmet, Wolfpie? Yeah, it is, because it's the Swiss version of a Stahlhelm. So basically think a German Stahlhelm, but with an even bigger flared skirt, and especially the flared bit at the front. How does it compare size-wise to the M56? I suppose it's not all that different, is it? Hang on. Let's have a look. Like, obviously that is bigger, but it's not all that different, is it, if you look at the two? It's just literally the skirt flares out a bit more on that, but yeah, Berlin Guard helmets. That's what I've just got out, the M56. Yeah, I can imagine what sweat making them deteriorate and fall apart, and the fact they'd be pretty useless. But yeah, this is the funny thing, right? Some people here, and like we're going back to media bias, right? We'll talk about all this stuff in China, completely forgetting in the UK you can go to prison if you post something offensive on social media. And some of the things people have been arrested for is fucking stupid over here. Hawley liners, right? I'll do that in just a second. But yeah, this is the best Stahlhelm, in my opinion. As much as it might not be the coolest one, you can get these cheap and they are cool helmets. And in terms of protection, this thing, I'd be pretty confident out of all the steel pots would stop stuff pretty well. Hawley liners, right, let's have a look. It's a very complex bit of cardboard, isn't it, looking at that? It's like a pith helmet. It's quite cool looking, but yeah, I can understand if it's cardboard why it wouldn't have lasted very well. Because I can see some pictures of actual ones where they're literally fraying in loads and loads and loads of places. But yeah, I suppose it's not an awful idea, but yeah, this sweat and everything else. Oh, so it was issued to people who'd be getting it wet, and that would be in the Pacific. Yeah, I can see what went wrong there. In a desert country, I imagine a cardboard liner wouldn't be too bad, because the sweat would dry out pretty quickly from it, so it's not going to go all soggy, but... Which helmet radioactive gas mask? Is the East German M56, the Swiss one I just was wearing. The Swiss one was 40-odd quid, nearly 50 with the postage on it, but it had the liner in it. The East German M56, when I bought that years ago, was somewhere between 20 and 30 pounds, if I remember. And this is one that's in really good condition when I got it. Any wear to it is stuff I've done to it, not that originally was on the helmet. Yeah, East German helmets, they're a bit more expensive now, but I think this is an M5670 something it's called. Let me have a look. East German M5670. Is it the M5676 helmet? Yeah, I think it's the East German M5676, this variation of it, because it's the one with the really nice liner system. Where I've never understood why people don't like the liner in this. I think this one shot zombie saying that did have like newspapery stuff wrapped around it when I bought it, but that was years ago, so I can't remember now properly. Which do you mean a mask with a really big filter? There's lots of masks with big filters. I'm trying to think if there's any that had a particularly gigantic filter. M56 III. Ah, okay, thank you. Yeah, the problem is it's like the Scott GSR laser with the M50, is that it's still not an easy system to do. 40mm, I just find quite easy to, as long as you've worn the mask a bit, and it's not a weird filter that doesn't want to screw in well, you can generally, on most masks, take the 40mm off and replace it while holding your breath, and it's not too much of an issue. I found with some masks, like, yeah, the M18 and Scott GSR, they're just very weird trying to get the filters on because they have to line up just right before they'll start wanting to click in. Main problem I had with the Scott GSR as well is a lot of the time you could almost half attach the filters, where they'd go in enough to connect, but they weren't actually flush with the mask, so then they'd be letting you breathe contaminated air in. Right, the military F2s I have never seen for sale on UK eBay, at least not for a decent price. The F2A4 is often about £60, but really you should try and get one for less than that. In terms of an S10, probably £30 to £60, but sometimes they're cheaper than that. All right, cool. And then what's the M56II then? If this one's the III, like number 3. Oh, sorry, yeah, you just said. And then there is the M56 rivets, but it's the same line called the M56II. All right, cheers. Sorry, I missed that when you said that before. So yeah, this is the 3rd gen then. But then I really like this helmet. In terms of comfort, the F2A4, at least for me, in terms of practicality at a price point in the S10, just because the S10 has a drinking tube if you wanted one. The A4 doesn't, as it's a civilian mask. The S10 has a better voice diaphragm system on it, even though it's still quite a primitive sort of thing. Has a voice trumpet on the front and then the little voice thing on the side. The A4 literally doesn't have anything. Oh, that's cool, Shot Zombie. I might do that then at some point. I only just realised I could thread that strap through there so it's out the way. All right, Peach. Having a nice lunch. So what, do they just drill rivets in it and then put the other liner in it? All right, cool. I'll get one, Peach, when the weather gets a bit colder. At the moment, I've not needed a hand warmer at all because I'll just put my hands in my pocket if they're cold. But when it gets to winter, I'll probably get one and do a video on it. Oh, so it's just literally a liner change, is it? Or is it the placement of the rivets? I'm getting confused now, Shots on me. Oh, it's more of a liner change. All right, cheers. So they got the 1st gen and then they put the newer liners in them and then that became the II. What do you mean, like NBC suits? I've done videos on NBC suits and NBC hoods, yeah. Right, cool. I'll definitely do a video on one later in the year. I can get one probably about November time because as the weather gets colder, I might actually have use for it, and it gives me like another lighter style thing to collect. I know the hand warmers aren't strictly lighters, but can I see what, FBI agent? I don't always stream at this time, Utaka, because often I stream like 8 or 9 p.m. in the evening UK time. Today it's 2:45 at the moment UK time. I try and stream generally like 2 times, like at 2 different times during the week, but most of the time I stream in the evening because that's when the most people get on. That's interesting, Shot Zombie. What is it? A filter you can see in the room? Because you keep saying the gas mask is a massive filter, but there's none behind me, as far as I'm aware, that have a massive filter. No, so you can't see it now. So yeah, what gas mask do I own and that has a massive filter? I'm trying to think. I mean, I've got a load that have the box filters, you know, like the coffee can or box style filters where they go in a satchel and a hose attaches to it. Not that I own. So it's a mask that I don't own that has a giant filter. Right. And apparently it's bigger than one of those because I've got an East German EO65K filter. So I want to know what mask this is now. What mask has a giant filter? Well, not connected, but I still have all the components of it. But I'd love to get some more EO65 or EO16 filters so I can actually screw more into each other. What outfit? Do you mean the NBC suits, if that's what you're on about? If you mean NBC suits, they're like 30 odd quid. Depends on the thing. Circular plate. You are really confusing me now, FBI agent. What is it? One which has a massive filter on the mask itself? If you mean one of those, then like the British civilian duty mask, or there's the things like the Swedish Type 32, where they put big filters on the mask itself. Or, yeah, Shot Zombie saying like the big flat sort of filters that are on the VM37, VM40s, those type of filters. Because they're big in terms of diameter, but they're not that big in terms of like coffee cans. No, we already talked about the Chinese cheap filter mask, and he said it's not a mask I own. Yeah, NBC suits. It depends what model NBC suits you get. You can sometimes in the UK get Mark III NBC suits still like pressure sealed in their packets for like £10 for the trousers and top, which isn't bad. Obviously, they're pretty old, so I wouldn't guarantee they work. Lots of rubberized NBC suits are £20 to £30. Lots of more modern NBC suits, when expired, are about £30. Modern NBC suits in date, like the fabric style ones, can often be closer to 100. It really depends on the model and how available it is. So yeah, we have no idea then which mask FBI agent's on about, but it's apparently a mask somewhere. So it's like the VM37, but the filter is bigger. I mean, the Finnish M39 has a filter similar to the German one, but mine's still sealed in its tin, and I won't bother opening it. But right, for Halloween, I'll definitely do a Halloween special, but I've not completely thought up yet what it will be. But I'll definitely make sure I do a Halloween special for it. Because one year it was the Halloween Free parody, the other it was a Psycho parody. So I might think of a good horror film and do a parody of it. But yeah, I could do a spooky stream as well. What day's Halloween this year? Let me have a look. 31st, it's Thursday. Yeah, I can definitely do that. Because it's not like it's going to be on a, day where I'm at work. Yeah, I'll do a Halloween special then and a spooky stream. So the Halloween special will be a bonus video then, because it lands on a Thursday. I'll just do a very short video for Halloween as its extra thing. The Yugoslavian M1 or Yugoslavian MC1, also known as the M59. Mine's not mounted, but there's lots of pictures online of ones that have turned into like goo. And apparently it's because they use weird adhesives on it and stuff like that, where over time there might be a chemical reaction in the adhesives, and it just kind of looks like a Troll 2. They're eating her, and then they're going to eat me. Oh my god, mask. Depends which sword you're on about. The katanas, that one was from Blades and Bows, when they were doing their closing down stuff, so it was down from like 100 to 30 odd quid. The Hanwei is Hanwei, isn't it? That company, like the Paul Chen stuff. That's about 100 to 150 pounds, depending on which period you bought them from. The saber up there, that's can't remember how much I spent on the saber now. On my review of it, it will say. When I next visit Mike, I'm going to take a load of these swords over so we can chop a load of stuff up with my swords, because I've not really had a chance to use any of my swords recently. Right, have a nice day, Laser. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, I'll have to find it, Shot Zombie, because the annoying thing is I have two PBFs, one specifically for not putting the filters in and turning inside out, and I don't know where it is. That would be the Lee Enfield, because the Lee Enfield is 1939 dated. My M1 carbine, I think, is dated 41 or 43, without getting it down and looking. My PPSH 41 is obviously going to be 1941 or later. Can't remember the exact year of that. And then obviously the RPK is a lot later. And what was the other DIAC I've got? Because I've got another DIAC gun, haven't I? The SLR. Oh yes, right there. Why could I not think of that? The SLR is obviously from like the 70s or the 80s, and it's the plastic furniture version. I've never seen helmet covers for them. I know they exist, but other than checking eBay every now and then, hope they turn up. Yeah, Shot Zombie. If the tank helmet will make you happy, get it. I'm finding it very strange you're saying how much does this cost, how much does that cost all the time. PMK4. I don't have a PMK4. Was that the mask you're thinking of? Let's have a look. PMK4. The filter doesn't look gigantic on that to me. That just looks like a regular sized filter. It's got a voice diaphragm on the front, but that's a voice diaphragm. Saying that, the PMK4 looks really cool with the green panoramic lens. Do all of them have green lenses, or is that just in a load of photo shoots they pick ones with green lenses because they look cool? No, not all of them do. Yeah, Shot Zombie has a lot of tanker helmets though, Nola. So I think he's after very specific things at this point. Yeah, 7 Soviet tanker helmets, and I imagine he's got more that aren't the Soviet ones. I keep being tempted to get the French tanker helmet that turns up on eBay now and again for like 30 quid, because it does look pretty good. Respirator and gas mask is pretty much the same thing. Gas masks have all sorts of names. Anti-gas mask, respirator, air purifying mask. There's loads of different names you can use. Respirator, though, can include things like, masks that give you air via an oxygen tank and whatever else, air tank. But yeah, no term's really incorrect as long as you're using the term for it in the right context. Well, is it just a VM37 with an unusually large filter on it? Well, isn't that the case of all tank helmets? They're better than no tank helmets. Unless somebody made a really bad tank helmet. But the French one looked really nice when I looked at it. French tank helmet. Let's have a look. Yeah, because this one doesn't cover your ears, because I think the ear defenders are a separate thing for it. But in terms of the material, it looks like a really nice material and chin strap on it. It's like maybe a Forks leather kind of thing that's filled with foam. Looks nice. Oh no, some of them are genuine leather ones as well. Well, the British wearing berets in the tanks constantly damaging their skulls. Yeah, the VM37, VM40 both have flapper valves. The Finnish M39 has a proper exhale valve. I think the Estonian one as well has a flapper valve that Estonia made, which is pretty much a VM37 clone as far as I can remember. Yeah, I'll get another tank helmet at some point, but I'm not sure what I'll get yet. I want to get one that's just comfy to wear, though. Because the thing, that one looks good on display, but I don't like getting it down, because every time I get it down, I get all this like black residue on my hands, and it looks more and more like cardboard underneath. Oh, right. Sorry, Nola. Yeah. Let's see if on eBay the Soviet tank helmet's currently on there. Right, Soviet tank helmet. There's some, but some of them want like £20 to £30 postage for a tank helmet, which I'm not going to pay. I'll just search tank helmet without the word Soviet on and see if I find some cheaper ones. Yeah, the French ones are 33 to 35 quid, so I might end up getting a French one fairly soon. Oh, cool, there's an original World War I British tank crew face, you know, like the splatter mask, whatever they called it, but it's got bids on and it's already nearly £300. So I won't be buying that, but I just thought that's pretty cool. You know, like the Man in the Iron Mask looking tank helmet. Just looking at these French tank helmets at the moment. I'll probably order one of them as soon as the stream ends because it's pretty cool. Yeah, in cloth, yeah. That's what ones I was looking at. Yeah, because that one is literally just a cloth, I think, with fake leather put on top, but you just want the cloth, don't you, itself? Ah, it's really cool shots on me. That's cool. I've got some East German jack boots, but I never really wear them because I don't want to damage them. They fit very, very tightly to my feet, though. So they're not the most comfortable boots, but they look pretty swag. Different nations use different sizing scales for masks. Different models of masks often have different sizing scales. If you search GP5 size guide, you can use that to get a rough idea of what head size you might be in different masks. That's cool shots on me. But yeah, I was saying I've only got the East German ones because I think at one point they were luckily there was just some on eBay that were pretty much brand new, other than just being old, that like an antique shop like seller had in, and they were close enough to my size that I was like, oh yeah, I'll spend 15 quid on them. The ones that worry me is when you see those sort of things for sale and it's obviously somebody selling secondhand fetish goods. That sort of just makes me shudder, the thought of what might be on something like that. Yeah, the GP5 scale is probably too small to read there. It's literally there where my finger is in the background, showing the measuring of the head. I said finish M39 earlier in the stream. I think he said no, but oh well. Yeah, finish M39s do have filters that look a lot like the sort of Volksmask ones. Volksmask, whatever. Oh no, I dread to think. But yeah, there was one where I was looking at. I can't remember what it was. It was some sort of like leather military thing, just because it was cool. And then I was looking at the seller's other items, and it was all literally like leather gimp sort of fetish wear, secondhand stuff. And I was like, oh no, no. At the moment, I've been playing loads of Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, just because that's fun to piss about with. And there's quite a lot of custom content for that now. Let me look it up. Name sounds familiar, but without looking it up, I can't actually think what they are. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, I've definitely seen pictures of those before. So yeah, it's an oversized Gen 3 scope then by putting 3 Gen 1s together. It looks pretty cool. I must admit that does look cool. But yeah, I still don't know where my one's turning at my night vision. Because the site I bought it from said that they'd send me a message when it was dispatched. I never got a message, but they said I could track the order. And they've taken the payment and all that. But if I on the track the order thing and put my number in, it just goes to a white page. It doesn't load properly. So it's a very well designed site. So I'm just hoping it's going to turn up. If it doesn't turn up after like a month from the order date, I'll send them an email. And then if I get no joy emailing them, I'll have to just get my bank to refund me. But hopefully it will just turn up fine and they've not bothered to send a dispatch thing, or it's somehow just disappeared from my inbox, like emails sometimes do. And it will turn up fine. But like I said, it's hard to know. I like things where they give you tracking information every step of the way. Yeah, hopefully it will. Like I said, I've never had really any issues with buying from companies and then them trying to scam you by not sending stuff. I've just either had issues of customs take it, they don't tell you they've got it, or shit like that. Oh, that's a good idea. Shot zombie, yeah. Although it's one for their own site, like where it tells you where they've got through the dispatch process, because they give you a pin and the tracking number, and you put the pin in, and then it's meant to give you the information. Well, the tracking number was meant to be provided later. What they sent me when I put the order through was like a number and a pin, and you're meant to use that on the site so you can track whereabouts it is on the order, sort of thing. And I think that's meant to give you the dispatch number and all that once they dispatch it. The issue is their site doesn't work properly, so putting that in, I've tried Chrome, Firefox. I've tried it on my mobile as well as the desktop. Every time you try and load the page, it just goes blank. Master, I'm waiting to arrive. No, I've got that night vision I'm waiting on. I've got a helmet I'm waiting on, but that's when I've got Bart for his birthday. But as I said, if I have any massive problems, I'll just get the bank to refund it, because that's a legit version of getting a chargeback. Speaking of KFC, it wasn't all that long ago, I watched the X-Files episode on Chaco Chicken. Yeah, I'll give it another week hype, and then I'll do that, because it might turn up in the meantime, because it's not long enough yet that I'd expect it to have arrived. But, I'm hoping it's just not a case of somebody somewhere's forgotten they're meant to have done it. So, yeah, I might just send an email. At least when they emailed me in English. So hopefully if I just email them with a simple English message, they'll have somebody there that can read it. Smoke grenades are legal in the UK, slingshot, but I've never seen like military style ones for sale, but the type pyrotechnic ones you can buy. Right, cool. Anyway, I'll finish the stream in a minute because it's gone over an hour now and I've got shit I need to do, like filming a video on the Scott mask. This one. I'm doing that as soon as the stream ends, and I need to reply to people's comments. Yeah, anyway, I'll say, yeah, Blumenthal. I have still yet to find Blumenthal for a good price. When I looked on the German eBay, like you suggested, I did find some Blumenthal bits, like bags, that were like 50 odd quid just for a little satchel. But yeah, if I find a Blumenthal Parker or something like that at some point for a decent price, I'll definitely order one, and I'll do a camo test. Ah, right, yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, I've had that before with some companies, yeah, where essentially they get you to pay for it, then they order it from the company, and then it's essentially done like that, yeah. Well, I said I'll give them another week, and then if I've not heard anything, I'll email them and just ask for an update. Because I don't mind if it takes a while, because the price was pretty good. Because like I said, in the UK, you cannot get any Gen 1 night vision for like 50 odd pounds like that cost, even with a postage on it. Because yeah, I think in total it was like £60 for the night vision and the postage. Whereas in the UK, like pretty much Gen 1 night vision, if you get stuff that's like the actual Gen 1 night vision, is generally like £200, £300. Sadly, I can't slingshot just because I said after this stream I've got shit I need to do. But have a good stream. Anyway, yeah, I'll be off now. So, yeah, see everybody. And like I said, I'll get round to replying to a load of the other comments in the normal videos now and getting the video filmed I want to do. Right, see you everybody. Goodbye.